Dr. Dry here from CDI. We're going to continue our conversation about the science of moisture in air. I have a few props here today that will help us understand that science of moisture in air. Let's start with a plain cardboard box. This cardboard box being 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. So when I contain air in this box and I fold this all up, I have 1 cubic foot of air. Now, did you know that the air weighs something? We don't recognize it because since we came out of the womb, this air has been pushing on us. It's been pressing against us. We don't recognize that it has a weight, but it does. Let's take an example of air, and let's start with standard conditions. Standard conditions being 70 degrees, 50% relative humidity at sea level. That air, if we had 13½ cubic feet of air, that air would weigh 1 pound. It would have 1 pound of weight to that 13½ cubic feet of air. But what is in the air but moisture? Let's think about moisture for just a second. Let's go to a little warmer and wetter climate. Let's go where it's 95 degrees and let's say 45% relative humidity. What's relative humidity? Relative humidity is the relative amount that some given volume of air can hold. Let's use this example. If the air were 95 degrees and 45% relative humidity, it would about fill this volume. This inside would be 1 pound of 95 degree air at 45% relative humidity. At that point, there is a certain amount of moisture in the air. Well, how much, you say? Let me answer that question for you. I have before you a plain, simple water dropper. And if I were to take 1 drop of this water and put it in my hand, I would experience the weight of 4.3 grains. What's a grain? Well, a grain is a unit of measurement of weight. If I had 7,000 grains of moisture, I would get 1 pound. So 1/7,000th of a pound is a grain of moisture. It's a unit of weight. 1 drop, roughly 4.3 of those grains. Back to the air. 45% relative humidity, about this large, 95 degrees. How much moisture is in it? 140, count them, 140 of those grains of moisture. But let's say that we cool the air, and we're going to cool it from 95 degrees to 60 degrees. What happens to the air is it gets smaller. This sample would shrink. It would get smaller. The bucket of air, if you will, gets smaller. Now, the moisture that's in it will stay in this volume until we get to 100% relative humidity. Or in other words, until the air shrinks so much that it cannot hold the moisture and out the moisture comes. 95 degrees, 45% full of water. We cool it down to the 60 degrees. We hit the 100% mark, meaning it cannot hold all the moisture. How much comes out? Well, quite a bit more than that. About 62 grains of moisture comes out as condensation, as rain. Let's cool the air even further. Where did we start? 95 degrees, 45%. We shrunk this air to 60 degrees, about 1 inch smaller on this diameter. Down to 30 degrees, about another inch smaller. But now it only holds 24 grains. You see, as the air gets cooler and cooler and cooler, its ability to hold moisture becomes less and less and less. As it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, it gets to be larger and larger. So that's the wonderful thing about air.